feel pretty good about being on the right side of an issue when the other side starts lying.
Hello, I started this gangster shit. This the motherfucking thanks I get. Hello, I started this gangster shit. And this the motherfucking thanks I get. Hello.
Comic Artist Pro Secrets, you're listening to Ethan Van Sciver, 25-year veteran of the comic book industry. This is just sad. Mark Waid goes on Nerdist to ask for money. Nerdist censors and deletes comments. What is Nerdist? I think they're a YouTube channel. They might also be a website, but they're a big kind of pop culture and fan, comic book maybe oriented group. And Mark Waid appeared on their show. Now, I got a lot of notifications from people who said he's about to go live. He's about to go live and talk about whatever he's going to talk about. You should be there to listen. I didn't get the notifications, actually, that people were letting me know until after the live stream was over, so I missed it live. But I was able to go back and watch most of it in a replay. I can only take so much of Mark Waid talking these days, knowing what I know now about Mark Waid, having been treated the way I have been treated by Mark Waid. I'm not really that interested in what he has to say about superheroes or comic books or anything like that anymore. I'm more interested in how he's going to spin what he did to my friend Richard C. Meyer. Now, Richard C. Meyer, aka Diversity in Comics, aka your boy Zach, is suing Mark Waid for tortious interference. What is that? That is the fact that Diversity in Comics had a contract with Antarctic Press to publish Jawbreakers after the tremendously successful crowdfunding campaign. Raised nearly $400,000. Your boy Zach wanted to get it published through a mainstream, small press, alternative, independent publisher. Get this comic book out into comic book stores where it could be on the stands next to Marvel Comics and next to Image Comics and DC Comics. That was his goal. He really wanted that. And I can't stress that enough. I couldn't care less about Cyberfrog being in comic book stores, really. I mean, I guess I wanted to be there, but I wanted to be there to make money and to find more fans. But I've been in comic shops my whole life. My books have been on shelves. It doesn't mean as much to me as it meant to him, as it certainly means to him. He hasn't had that experience yet, and he wanted the feeling of being a professional and a published comic book writer. And this man here took it from him by calling up Antarctic Press and basically explaining to him that he was holding back, quote unquote, the hounds of hell. And a tidal wave of hate, another quote, was going to be coming this publisher's way if he did go ahead and fulfill his agreement and contract with Richard C. Meyer by publishing Jawbreakers. The publisher in question did back down and did kind of refuse to fulfill the contract that he had, the agreement that he had with your boy Zach to publish this comic book, and all because Mark Waid scared him. Now, Mark Waid, this is by the way, this is illegal. That is something you're not allowed to do. You're actually not allowed to go and get involved when you have no right to do so, no position. You don't belong there in any way. You don't really have any right to get in between two people who have a contract together. If you break it up, one of the parties, or maybe even both of the parties, I don't know, can sue you for damages. You've cost them money. You've actually affected their livelihood. So this is why your boy Zach is suing Mark Waid. Now, in addition to that, it's tortious interference plus defamation. Mark Waid has been going around calling Richard C. Meyer a white supremacist, all kinds of nasty things that aren't true, and that's tacked onto this lawsuit. But it's not the big part of the lawsuit. The big part of the lawsuit is the tortious interference, which is provable, based in fact, and Mark Waid, in my opinion, and in the opinion of other attorneys, is pretty much dead to rights. So he goes on this thing. He started a GoFundMe campaign to pay for his legal defense funds. His GoFundMe campaign has exceeded the $75,000 that he asked for. That $75,000, coincidentally, the same exact figure named in the lawsuit, the damages that Diversity in Comics, aka your boy Zach, is looking for. Mark Waid now has $79,000 and change in this GoFundMe. Still not enough. He's going to go out and he's going to ask people via the Nerdist to get involved and open up their pocketbooks, give what little they may have to Mark Waid, so that Mark Waid doesn't have to pay for the consequences of destroying the livelihood of my friend. And then he's going to ask for this money under false pretenses. Let's find out what I mean by that. Let me demonstrate. This is Bounding Into Comics. It's a very good website. Mark Waid, who is currently being sued by Richard C. Meyer, aka YouTuber Diversity in Comics. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. It's great. For tortious interference and defamation, went live with Nerdist to ask their viewers to donate to his GoFundMe. Now, the first half of the program was indeed Mark Waid talking about superheroes, putting on a show. You know, people want to hear him talk about comic books. He was happy to do that, and then the last few minutes, I don't know how long it was, 10 minutes, was him making his pledge, making his plea, further defaming my friend, saying that he was somebody who harasses women and transgendered people and people of color. You know, interestingly enough, Mark Waid is none of these, and yet, you know, he was the focus of a lot of Diversity in Comics criticism. All right, so the Nerdist host Hector Navarro hosted the live stream with Waid that appears to be a setup for Waid to ask people to donate to his GoFundMe to fund his legal defense against Meyer. Navarro didn't even feign objectivity when he broached the subject of the lawsuit, declaring that Comicsgate is an online harassment group. It's just not true. I mean, that's not what Comicsgate is. I'm sure that people like Mark Waid, who are sensitive, hypersensitive to criticism, over his work and over the way he treats people on the internet, would feel harassed by the fans that he is mistreating. And also a little bit edgy about being very smartly criticized by Texan YouTuber Diversity in Comics, who has done a great job of picking out the flaws and weaknesses of SJW, specifically SJW, writers like Mark Waid. So that's basically what this is all about. You'll see that Mark Waid is going to pretend as though this is just him defending other people who are victims of this criticism. It's not an online harassment group. That's crazy. We're just trying to do our own comic books at this point. He even admits why Waid is even on the show, saying, "You are here for a very serious reason, Mark. You have unfortunately become the target of a lawsuit." Look at this man. Target of a lawsuit. Imagine that. Waid believes it will be hard for Meyer to win his defamation claim, stating, "Now, it's turned into a lawsuit that hinges a huge part on defamation. I don't know how you defame someone who says that Ta-Nehisi Coates is a race hustler. The black people working at Marvel Comics is a minstrel show. I don't know how you defame a guy like that, but that's for a court to decide." Well, you defame him by lying about him, Mark. That is how you do that. Waid claimed that Richard Meyer was promoting white supremacy. That is a lie. That is how you defame someone like that. While discussing his interactions with Antarctic Press, while attending a Comic-Con in Houston, Antarctic Press was a publishing company that had announced they would publish Meyer's Jawbreakers Lost Souls. While discussing the situation, Waid admitted that he was actively kicking people out of the comic book industry, saying, "We're throwing assholes out. That's what we're doing." This is, again, this is not, do you understand? Mark, this is not your place to do that. You cannot decide the people that you disagree with are a-holes and then they need to be thrown out of comics. That is not something for you to do, and you're going to learn that lesson right now. He also admitted that he contacted Antarctic Press to let them know why the hordes of hell are descending upon them. Antarctic Press would eventually drop Meyer's Jawbreakers Lost Soul, and they admitted that Waid was involved in the decision, writing, "Mark shed more light on the situation, and other factors came into play that do not involve any staff or freelancers at any other company that led us to our decision. Much like his GoFundMe, Waid paints himself as a victim." He always does this. But you know what? He's a victim, but he's not the main victim. He's just, imagine my pain. Watch how he phrases this. "I've gotten a lot of heat. I'm not saying that to complain. I'm saying that to make a point that I'm a straight white guy, and getting that level from these guys, you can only imagine what women, people of color, LGBTQ, creators in the industry, and fans in the industry get, not just from Comicsgate, but toxic fandom in general. Not from Comicsgate at all. And Mark, the reason why you get heat, or anybody who can be described like this gets heat, is only if they're an a-hole. And you just said you wanted to throw a-holes out of the industry. No, we just want to criticize them. If you are a jerk and you are doing bad work, these two things will probably lead to you getting criticized on Twitter or on social media. You may feel that is harassment, but that is part of the bad part of being a public figure. Just ask someone like me. I'm here to tell you, it's no fun. It is kind of harassment, but it goes along with the game. It goes along with the good stuff about being kind of famous. Waid then declares why he thinks the lawsuit was filed. I firmly believe the lawsuit was filed specifically to try to intimidate and silence people who are trying to stand up against that sort of behavior and take a stand. Mark Waid then gets to the point of the entire interview by discussing his GoFundMe and asking viewers for money. Mark, you were sued. You are being sued because you got in between Richard C. Meyer and Antarctic Press and the contract they had with them, between them, to publish Richard's comic book. It's really as simple as that. It has nothing to do with you being a brilliant spokesperson for social justice warriorism. I mean, that's part of the reason why you're kind of a dick. But the main reason why you are being sued, of course, is because you actually affected another person's livelihood in a way that was illegal. So that's why you're being sued. Everything else is just kind of in your head. It's all stuff that you're using to justify what you've done. I know you need to feel like a hero. That is sad. He says, I work in comics. I'm not a rich guy. Lawsuits are expensive. I launched a GoFundMe about a week ago, and it's been huge. It's been great. Now let's start appealing to authority. Neil Gaiman has contributed, and Colleen Duran, Gail Simone, Scott Snyder. A list could go on and on about my colleagues that have joined in this fight. Yeah, you tricked them all. You didn't tell them what it was about. And by the way, I think, sadly, I wonder if how many of these people, if they did know what it was about, would actually take a principled stand against you. And it would be a principled stand, because there is right and wrong. And just because you might disagree with somebody, just because you might fervently disagree with someone, doesn't mean that you have the right to do this to them, to take a legal action against them. So it'd be interesting to know if Neil Gaiman, Colleen Duran, Gail Simone, Scott Snyder, if they understood that this wasn't just about just keeping your voice quiet, Mark, and what it was actually about was punishing you for tortious interference, a crime in the state of Texas. I wonder if all of them would have still donated. I wonder how many would have backed away. I'm almost afraid to know, because I think very few would, and that's worrisome about this industry. Help me make this stand. Help me make this stand that it is not okay. It's not okay. If you can join in, the GoFundMe is up. You can find me, Mark Waid GoFundMe. If you can jump in there, that's great. It's a lawsuit. There's a long road ahead of us. Those things are not cheap to fight. I'm not poor-mouthing. I don't know what that means. I'm not here to beg with a cup in hand as much as I am to say this is a call of action to action. Come join us. Come join Neil Gaiman and the rest of us and me. He brings up Neil Gaiman again. Boy, using Neil Gaiman's name like that. This is, wow. That is a scam. That is a con. That's a confidence trick right there. Again, I would have to just sit down and explain to Neil Gaiman what this was about, and then see if, his rational, fair self would actually stand up against what is clearly Mark Waid's seething hatred. If he would actually be fair or join in. I don't know, just help a friend. Help us fight back and push back against this sort of toxic online harassment. That's just not cool. All right. There is no toxic online harassment except coming from you, Mark. coming from you. The toxic online harassment is you. You do organize it, clearly. You've actually bragged about it. You get together with friends. You talk about how you are going to interfere in other people's lives, how you are going to make people's lives difficult who do not conform to your view of the world and what you want from them. And if you don't get your way, as I've shown, and I'll show up here on the screen real quick, you send a whole tirade of abuse via email, via direct message, via private message. And this is what you do. This is an online harassment movement. This is toxic, most certainly. And people know that about you now. When asked about how to make the comic book industry better, Waid said, "I think the only thing I can think of is to restrain yourself when you're angry online." That would be nice. Waid does admit that he has popped off online. Yeah, he does. And in his personal life, at work, around his peers, he has certainly done that. He then makes an absurd tangent about national politics. This is revealing. The state of the country is just anger all the time. We are all a jack in the box with one note left to go. He's a writer. That's a very good phrase. So I get it. By the way, SJWs all say this. I get it. I get it. You don't get it. That's you basically saying, yeah, I know what you're going to say, but I'm going to kind of leapfrog right over that and get to what I want. Unfortunately, the national dialogue trickles down into everything, including pop culture. All right, so you're saying that because President Trump exists, you are going to act like a chimpanzee. That's what you're saying. Waid then talks about what he's trying to do to address this. "I'm redoubling my efforts to try to understand that escalating it is not the answer. Immediately shifting from 0 to 'you're a Nazi' is probably not the best way to go." But that's what you do. And that's what all of your friends do. And it's not only not the best way to go, but it's defamation. It's defamation of character. So thank you for admitting that you do that. Defamation per se. That's not going to make anything better. I don't know how to engage with a certain toxic fandom where there's no good faith argument. Good faith, again, good faith is another SJW trope. This phrase they use over and over again. As a way of not having to argue with people who disagree with them. They just say, hey, it's not in good faith. You're not arguing in good faith. No matter what you do to extend a hand, it becomes soy boy. That's funny. Cuck, yeah, great, SJW. These are not criminal. These are just very light put downs. Social justice warrior is just actually a matter of fact. That's what you are. Cuck and soy boy. Soy boy is just a man who does not behave in a manly way. And a cuck is somebody who will not stand up for what he knows is true and what he knows is right. These are great terms for the modern day, and it's nothing to get. These are not Nazi. Nazi is different. Calling somebody a soy boy is not going to get them assaulted, fired from work, and disfellowshipped, unfellowshipped by his peers, family, and friends. Calling someone a Nazi has devastating effects, or it used to. I think people are starting to realize how utterly full of crap SJWs are, so they don't even listen anymore. I don't know how to deal with that. Just shrug it off. I don't know how you expect other people to deal with being called a Nazi, Mark. It's interesting that you can't cope with soy boy, cuck, and SJW, and yet you did expect people to just shrug off being called a white supremacist, a Nazi. How is Richard C. Myers supposed to deal with being called a white supremacist by you? Why can't you excuse him in the same way you excuse yourself? All we can do is try to take the high road as much as you can. Well, I haven't seen that. I haven't noticed the high road. I notice you getting involved. I notice you taking your temper and using it to get involved in destroying people's lives. That's what I've noticed that you do. Anyone trying to push back on Waid's interview in the comments would see Nerdist actively censoring and deleting comments. You can see they deleted comments in the screenshot below. How about that? So, message deleted, message deleted, message deleted. So their mods were just out in force deleting messages that were critical of Mark Waid. Not only was Nerdist censoring and deleting comments, but they were also putting users in timeout for a set period of time before they could post again. I mean, how do you like that? They're just letting Mark kind of say whatever he wants to say and lie, and then they're binding up and punishing people who are actively saying what he's saying isn't true. What he's saying isn't true. Not great. I can confirm this happened, as I posted our article containing the initial lawsuit, and it was promptly put in timeout. One thing is clear, that since Waid is specifically asking for people to give him their hard-earned money, he doesn't appear to be optimistic that his lawyer's motion to dismiss will go through. Well, no, I mean, that's, again, a lawyer has to try every single trick in the book. So, Mark Waid's lawyer, moving to dismiss the case on any grounds, and I'm sure they'll try again on 2 or 3 more times to dismiss the case on this ground and this ground. None of them are going to work, but you got to try it. You got to try it out. So I'm sure he knows this is going to go to trial if Richard C. Meyer is not willing to settle with him. What do you make of Waid's interview with the Nerdist? What do you make of, I think it's garbage. What do you make of Nerdist actions in censoring the comments during the interview? Slightly more excusable than Waid's interview. I don't like that, though. I think if you're going to put Mark Waid on the stand here and let him basically offer propaganda to comic book fans, untruths, half-truths, lies by omission, I think fandom should be permitted to be critical of him. Not only have they deleted the comments here, they've also made it so that people cannot comment on the video itself now that it is posted. You can't comment. They've shut down all the comments, no replies. So basically, this allows Mark Waid to run untethered his little propaganda campaign of lies by omission, his self-serving, utter, bullcrap. I was going to say a bad word. I'm going to try not to say curse words. Let's keep it clean here. He's allowed to kind of do whatever he wants to do now because the Nerdist has silenced all dissent. So this is sad. I didn't know much about the Nerdist, but their name of their channel does sound like the Nudist to me. And as we all know, nudists are slimy. We've established slimy nudist as a new and horse thief. Slimy nudist and horse thief as the ultimate put down of current year. So I don't know. What do you guys think of this? Like this video, please leave me a comment in the comment section below. Talk to me about how you feel about this. What is the best way for Richard C. Meyer to go about doing what he's doing? He's pulled his Twitter down, and he's, kind of keeping his videos drama-free. He's not going to talk about this, even though he's seething. I mean, believe me, I talk to him every day. He would really like to say some things about this, and he's exercising restraint, which I think is a good thing, ultimately. And, of course, his GoFundMe campaign, even though it is under attack from SJWs who are reporting it for fraudulent donations, none of that is true, is still going strong. He has made $108,000, and he let me know today that I think like $95,000 of that money did appear in his bank account today. So he does have that money to pay for lawyers and further pushing this case forward. And that is all thanks to you guys. So thank you for that. Subscribe to this channel for further content like this and about Star Wars and about comics. I do appreciate you guys very much. Ring that bell for notifications. Don't miss any live streams. All right, take care. Hey, want to follow me on Twitter? Okay, cool. I'm at Ethan Van Sciver. Talk to you there. Show your friends you support independent comics while showing the world who you back in the fight against the swarm with the brand new Cyberfrog t-shirt from Crypto Fashion and Comic Artist Pro Secret. Sizes come in small to 5XL, and take your choice of colors between navy blue, white, and black. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and order the Fandom Menace, Go Get Daddy's Belt, Tico, and Soilo t-shirts as well. Link is below in the description. You're going to look great. People love these shirts. They fit wonderfully. Thank you very much. Aren't you tired of this soy-based entertainment? Well, let the world know by ordering your Soilo, a Soy Wars Story t-shirt, or Tico, a Soy Wars Story t-shirt. Both come in all kinds of sizes from small to 5XL. We're sure we can fit you. And thank you very much for your support of the channel. The link is below in the description. Man, it's exciting. Suddenly I'm a t-shirt merchant as well. Humble Frog, Ink, and t-shirt merchant. Thanks, guys.
If you enjoyed this video and want to become part of this community, subscribe to this channel by clicking the laughing man face logo right on your screen. Ring the bell for notifications as well. You'll never miss a live chat. And stay tuned, another video by Comic Artist Pro Secrets is coming right up.